Good evening, everyone. Welcome into our latest edition of the Milford Informer. I am Tim Coet. We begin the show this week with somber news. The town of Milford lost a true icon earlier this week as Linda Zacchilli passed away after a decade-long battle with cancer. Generations of Milfordians were touched by Linda, either in her role as an educator or her legendary work as a volleyball coach. I had the supreme honor of covering the Milford girls volleyball team in 2016 when Linda returned to the bench to lead the team to the playoffs. To watch Linda work, to see the connection she had with her athletes, to experience her ferocious competitive spirit, and to learn about the game of volleyball from a true master like Linda is an experience I will remember forever. Linda leaves behind a legacy that will truly never be forgotten, and so we put together the following tribute to honor the memory of Linda Zacchilli. Linda Zacchilli was a lifelong Milford resident with deep roots in the community. After graduating from Milford High School in 1968 and then from North Adams State College in 1972, Linda returned to her hometown where she would go on to serve as a physical education teacher. Over 3+ decades, Linda would teach at every level from preschool through high school before retiring in 2008. Of course, it was during her distinguished tenure as a volleyball coach that Linda would carve out an unforgettable legacy. Linda founded the girls' volleyball program at Milford High School in 1974, and 11 years later she ushered in the beginning of the boys' program in 1985. Through 5 decades of coaching, Linda's girls' and boys' teams amassed more than 700 victories, numerous district titles, and repeated appearances in the state finals. Throughout the last decade, Linda continued to lead her teams into battle on the court, all while waging her own private battle with cancer. Linda last served as head coach of the boys' team in 2015, where she led the team to an appearance in the district quarterfinals. She continued to support the boys' program after turning over head coaching duties to MHS alum Andrew Mainini. And then after entering into remission from her 3rd bout with cancer, Linda stepped in as the head coach of the girls' team in the fall of 2016 and instantly returned the program to a playoff contender, taking the girls all the way to the district semifinals.
It's pretty exciting. You know, it's nice to be back. So I don't know how long I'll be back, but for the time being, I'm back. And I'm loving it so far.
We found out early on in this current school year that Linda's cancer returned for a 4th time, prompting the Milford girls volleyball team, along with Hopedale, to dedicate their Coaches vs. Cancer night on October 29th to Coach Zacchilli. Despite a 10-year-long battle with cancer, Linda never wanted to dwell on the disease and remained ever devoted to her family, to the Milford athletic program, and to the Milford community right to the end. Linda passed away on March 13th at her home in Milford. She was 68 years old. A 3-time Boston Globe Coach of the Year, a founding member and eventual Lifetime Achievement Award recipient from the State Volleyball Coaches Association, recipient of the Massachusetts Women in Athletics Distinguished Service Award, an inaugural inductee into the Massachusetts Girls Volleyball Coaches Hall of Fame, and a 2009 inductee into the Milford High School Athletic Hall of Fame. She was a devoted wife, loving mother, fierce competitor, selfless coach, and lifelong educator. Her obituary includes a quote from the book Unforgettable, Living a Life That Matters by Nesta Jojo Erskine. The quote reads as follows: "We might not be the ones to change the world. We might not belong to the few that put a ding in the universe. We might not be something the whole world will celebrate. But in the little corners that we live, in the lives that we have played a part in, we should be nothing but unforgettable." More accurate words could not possibly be spoken to honor the life and the legacy of Coach Linda Zacchilli. With heavy hearts, we continue with this week's news stories. We were happy to sit down with 2 different Milford residents this week who are looking to get the word out about upcoming events. First, Mike Morrison, president of the Friends of the Milford Upper Charles Trail, is ramping up his fundraising efforts as he is set to make his 2nd ride in the Pan Mass Challenge later this summer. Mike and his team have set ambitious fundraising goals for the year and are looking for the community to help reach those goals, with the proceeds going towards life-saving work over at the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute. and we are very happy to be joined on the Milford Informer this week by Mike Morrison, of course known as the president of the Friends of the Milford Upper Charles Trail, here for a very special cause. But first and foremost, Mike, thanks for joining us on the show.
Well, thanks for having me, Tim. Glad to be here.
So, of course, as everyone can see from your colorful choice of wardrobe here today,
yes.
Here for a special cause. For the second year in a row now, you're going to be participating in the Pan Mass Challenge, which is, of course, a fantastic event to raise money that takes place a little bit later on in the summertime. First and foremost, for any of the viewers who might not be familiar with the Pan Mass Challenge, can you tell us a little bit about what it's all about?
Sure. Pan Mass Challenge is an annual bike ride, a bike-a-thon. So riders can choose from any number of routes to ride basically across the state of Massachusetts, ending mostly in Provincetown. And the goal is to raise money for cancer research at the Dana-Farber in Boston. Each rider has basically a minimum fundraising amount that they have to meet in order, and it depends on which ride they choose. But essentially, it's just a way to generate money and fund cancer research and life-saving research.
It's an outstanding fundraising event, and obviously a tremendously worthy cause, raising money for Dana-Farber. And now this is going to be the second year that you've participated in the challenge. Last year you were part of Team Waters, and so what was the experience like the first time around?
First time around, I'm pretty good with biking. I bike all around town, so you've probably seen me going around. But so the experience of biking was a blast. I was there on the Cape in the summer, which is, you can't go wrong there. Absolutely. Even though it was raining that Saturday. I did the Bourne to Provincetown ride last year, so that's about 80 miles, just under. So I was there on a Saturday beforehand, just tooling around, and had a lot of, went down to Falmouth and Woods Hole and everything. It was great. The ride back, pouring rain. So the whole way back, so like 30-ish miles down to the Mass Maritime campus where everyone was meeting. But there wasn't really a sad face in the bunch. And even though I didn't participate in the Saturday ride that year, I was part of the group. I was part of everyone because I was doing the second day ride. I just wanted to get my feet wet. I wasn't really. I'm comfortable with biking, but I wasn't sure if I wanted to do the 80 miles or like the, it seems a fairly steep fundraising commitment. But I ended up doing that, and I absolutely do not regret that 1 minute. Yeah,
obviously the race itself, the ride itself, doesn't take place until August, but in order to get those funds generated, it's something that takes the majority of the year to get to that point.
Absolutely. The ride really is the reward at the end of it. It's for people who enjoy biking, and the ride, not really much fundraising going on that day, or the weekend, I should say. It's, the reward you get for a whole half a year or more of fundraising.
And so, as you now are starting to ramp up your efforts towards your fundraising goal, what is the number one way that folks can start to get involved and help donate towards your individual goal?
Sure. There's the PMC website, which is pmc.org. If you go to, I believe it's donate.pmc.org/mm for my name 0795. That's the link to my the donate profile page for my ride. And you can go there, and I think there's a bunch of links you can choose. Any amount is accepted. Grateful, extremely wonderful gift. So that's the main way. And there are a couple of, I'm trying to generate interest around town and businesses for more fundraisers coming up in the year. I don't have details yet, but hopefully in the coming months we'll have more details available.
A lot of moving parts there, but certainly the primary and the easiest way, and again, we encourage anyone out there, if you can donate, to please do so. Mike riding with Team Waters for the upcoming Pan Mass Challenge later on this summer, so all of that website information on your screen right now, so definitely check that out and donate if you can. And I don't think we've mentioned it yet, Mike, but you're increasing your ride from last year. You mentioned you did the Bourne to Provincetown ride last year, which we before we came on air, we called the victory lap, getting all of that great scenery in out on the Cape, but you're extending that this year.
Right. Last year was just Bourne to Provincetown. It is like the victory lap. You can't go wrong with being on the Cape in the middle of summer, as long as you don't go in the water. So This year I'll be doing Wellesley to Provincetown. So the first day would be Wellesley to Bourne, the Babson campus to the Mass Maritime campus, and that's roughly double the length. I don't know how the exact mileage, but it's roughly in the neighborhood of 160, 165 miles in total.
That's incredible. Now, will you do some extra riding in the summer to start to get ready for that, or could you do that right now if you needed to?
Well, not necessarily in the middle of winter, but certainly, certainly once with the warm weather gets here, absolutely, that's something I would do. I've done rides from Milford to Boston and back a few times, and that's kind of like a warm up, I would say. It's not something I do on a regular basis, but it's certainly something I love doing. As long as I get the day off from work and it's decent weather, absolutely.
Well, we certainly look forward to hearing your progress throughout the year. Again, the Pan Mass Challenge, it comes up in August, but looking for those donations to Mike's team, Team Waters, as they continue to march towards a goal again, helping the folks over at Dana-Farber. So certainly best of luck with that, and we'll continue to check in with you. But I would be remiss if I let you go, Mike, without putting in a quick question about the Milford Upper Charles Trail. We're starting to get some warmer weather this week coming up. We might hit 60 by Friday, so people are going to start to get the itch to get back outdoors. So what are the plans coming up to, I know every spring there are events to get the trail ready to go. What's in the works for coming up in the weeks and months to come?
Sure. Once we get the snow melted, we're tagging along with the Citizens from Milford again this year. So every spring they do a town-wide beautification day, and that'll be April 27th this year. I believe that's the last Saturday in April. And so the meetup point will be the communal parking lot across from Sacred Heart Church again, and there will be places where you can meet up with Citizens for Milford if you want to do places like Main Street or Dilla Street or anywhere else in town that's not the trail. We found that a lot of families like to do the trail because it's a little safer than having cars flying by or small children and so forth. So we're going to be setting up a table there as well, and we'll have maps. We plan to distribute maps of the trail. So if people want to go there or go elsewhere, we'll have also trouble spots, or usual spots with most litter and trash highlighted on the map. And we're also planning a new initiative this year. The Friends have always had responsibility for maintaining 4 landscaped areas along the trail. This year we're trying to go ahead and instead of just weeding and replenishing the mulch, we actually want to plant a few hostas in one of the areas. So if anyone has any small children and doesn't mind getting their hands dirty, you can meet us at the communal parking lot and give you a plant and say, here you are, and meet you at it'll be at the Louisa Lake trailhead area. There's a small, well, I say small, it's a relatively small area. It's like 3 feet wide by 50 feet-ish. And we'll meet you there and just guide you to planting the little hosta.
Always finding new ways to spruce up the trail, so we look forward to that. April 27th was the date for Beautification Day?
That's right. I think it's 9 a.m. I think things get rolling.
So we'll certainly get more information out there as we get closer, but it's good to sort of start thinking about that date now. Again, warm weather to come. We're certainly all looking forward to it, getting back out, getting on the trail. And so again, thanks so much for that update, and best of luck as you continue to raise funds for the Pan Mass Challenge to come. Mike Morrison, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks a lot, Tim.
I was also excited to be joined in studio this week by Molly Auger to find out all of the details on the 4th annual Brookside's Got Talent, set to take place at the end of this month. This year's show is the biggest one yet and features a host of acts that you won't want to miss. And we're very happy to be joined by our next guest on the Milford Informer, who really needs no introduction, Molly Auger, who has been so involved here in the Milford schools, particularly with the Brookside PTO, and here to talk about a very special event. But first, Molly, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, it's so good to be here.
So of course, it's that time of year again. Spring is coming, and with it, another edition of Brookside's Got Talent, which has just been such a phenomenal event here in town, now in its 4th year coming up this year. How exciting is this every year to put an event like this together?
It's so exciting. Like, I'm trying to control myself right now. I'm going to keep composed. It's just our favorite time of year. It really is. The kids, the stage, the lights, the whole production itself there's a formula to it and, a process, but from start to finish, it's really just, it's inspirational and it's quite magical.
It's great to have Ray involved too. I know that he's hosted it every year since you've been doing it. He'll be hosting it again this year. And gosh, you guys just have a knack together to bring so many exciting events to this community. I know Ray's been so involved. I'm sure you as well with whether it's Celebrate Milford, the 4th of July parade. It just seems like somehow or another you guys have your hands on a lot of great events that have been coming to this town.
I'm his soldier. These are Ray's things. I'm his, loyal, trusty soldier in the back, in the scenes. But yeah, like, we like to be involved. I mean, it's a big deal. My parents were involved. His parents were involved growing up. My kids love to see, mom's here, dad's here. I think it's important.
Yeah, so this is a great event, of course. I'm sure everyone out there has probably seen it before, either on Milford TV or if you've had a chance to go see it live. So the 4th annual Brookside's Got Talent, it's taking place on Saturday, March 30th, so that's coming up now in just a couple of weeks from now. And this is an event for people that don't know. This is a highly attended event. People are really excited to come out for this. You don't have tickets available at the door. People are buying their tickets right now ahead of time, and there is the possibility that this could sell out. So it's important for people to get their tickets really as soon as possible.
Yes, we had a year where it sold out completely, and it was a great problem to have. But then again, it was like, what do we do? Luckily we have Milford TV to put together the whole show and show it afterwards. But we don't want anybody to miss out on it. We have sent home flyers to Brookside students. They all come back home today. We have, you can email us and we will certainly put them inside. I've had a few emails already. So yeah, it goes quick too. So like I said, it's not a bad problem to have.
And so tickets are $3 per person.
Yes.
And so we've got all the information up on the screen right now. There are a couple of different email addresses that you can use. Molly, yours is included there. So just contact one of those email addresses if you're interested in purchasing tickets, and that's the easiest way to do it. And we were talking before we came on air. This is going to be the biggest that Brookside's Got Talent has been so far. How many acts in total do you have this year?
24.
That's amazing.
And we have a range. We have singers, we have dancers, we have a comedian who is talking about facts and money, which is amazing. We have gymnasts, we have a contortionist sort of act where it's an amazing thing to watch, but it also scares me a little where it looks, you see a 7-year-old and she can put her hands or her legs behind her head and roll around. That's talent. That's serious talent.
I think if there's one thing we've learned over these last few years is there are a lot of different talents out there amongst the kids in Milford, and it was exciting to see Woodland kind of follow the lead of Brookside. They had their Greatest Showman showcase a couple of months ago, so we're seeing all kinds of talent coming out through the woodwork from these kids, and it's really exciting to see.
And that's led by Jenny Lyons, Nicole Romilio, and Jess Trithold, and a whole bunch of other wonderful volunteers who, put it all together for another age group, another audience, and it was flawless. It was great.
And so once again, the 4th annual Brookside's Got Talent. It's taking place on Saturday, March 30th at Stacy Middle School Auditorium.
Yes.
The show begins at 1 o'clock. Again, tickets are $3 a piece. And again, we'll run those email addresses across your screen right now. The best way to contact the team of producers to get those tickets. It's an event you have to be there in person to really feel the excitement. And I know you guys bill it every year with the red carpet, with paparazzi, glitter and glam. So this is something that really makes the kids feel special.
It's an experience. Yes, these kids are between the ages of 6 and 8. Most around 7 years old. So they've only been on this earth for 7 years. 7, and they're getting on a stage, a big stage in front of over 250, 300 people. That's brave. That takes some serious courage, and they are putting themselves out there creatively. So think about what a vulnerable, position they put themselves in, and they crush it. And so as a parent, as an adult, to see that is inspiring, and it just gives, us a sense of hope for the future. And before they even get on the stage, I tell the kids all the time that we're already proud of you. We already can't wait to see you. So it's it's something to see.
It's a really special event. Again, get your tickets now for the 4th annual Brookside's Got Talent coming up on March 30th at 1 o'clock over at Stacy Middle School. Molly Auger, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
That's going to do it for this week's edition of The Informer. Next week, we hope to bring a pair of spring sports previews to you, and we'll also continue to keep you informed during this election season with a recap of the Senior Center Candidate Forum, set to be held at the Ruth Ann Bleakney Senior Center on Monday. Thank you so much for tuning in. From all of us here at Milford TV, this is Tim Coet saying have a great week. So long, everybody.